Good morning. Thursday morning, November 5th. Welcome, everybody. On this beautiful, not as chilly morning this morning. I thought it'd be colder based upon last night's temps as I was taking a walk home from our growth group last night. Stacy Riggle, good morning to you. Letitia Sexton, good morning. Janisa Bush, Daryl and Suzanne, Wendy Chadwick, and Jeremy, if you're there, good morning to you all. Welcome, everybody. Grateful that you are here. I was here a few minutes early, so I was watching, there's a whole, is it a gaggle of turkeys? Anyway, they're a group of turkeys. They're all hens. The other day it was all toms. They're huge. Now it's hens over here. Mike and Joe Stromberg, welcome. Lori Cares. And they're just coming out of the roost. They were roosted over here. And so when they come out, they yelp. They call each other so they can regroup. And it's just fun to watch all of that. Stephen Andrea Hauser, welcome. Mom, good morning to you. Barbara Del Rio, good morning to you today. Bless everybody for being here. Barbara Richardson, Claudia, Bob and Claudia, good morning. Good to see you guys, as always. Debbie King, good morning to you. Sally Crocker, good morning. Let's see, a few more names, I think. Hey, Dana, good morning to you. Good morning. Despina McClanahan, good morning to you. I keep waiting for my sister-in-law, Kim's name to pop up. What? Oh, there you are. You just popped up. Because today is Kim Johnson's birthday. Happy birthday to you, Kim. And so welcome to you today. Good morning to everybody. I just wanted to, this morning we're going to come out of the Sermon on the Mount just for a day. Remember the purpose of these is this is just kind of I do my own morning devotions and then I just share some thoughts. That's what the purpose of this is. And though we've followed the Sermon on the Mount, sometimes it's good to deviate from that. Just being true to my own, how God's leading me personally. And I'm hoping that as I do that God speaks to you. And that's how he has worked. It appears, at times where, I just saying something that's meaningful to me and it happens to be meaningful to someone else. And so this morning we're not going to be in the Sermon on the Mount because my morning just was occupied with working through more I think discipleship with Jesus, as I've learned in the last couple of years, is not just confined to knowing theological truth or biblical truth about God, and then doing actions that are reflective of that biblical truth. I think those are two really important components of discipleship, but there's a component that I've paid much more attention to in the last couple of years that have been so helpful to me, that the Bible also addresses, but we don't in our church cultures as much, and that is our emotional health. And paying attention to how we relate to one another and also to our inner emotional health, how we navigate this world, addressing peace and dealing with relational conflict, dealing with emotional wounds that we've suffered at the hands of people, knowingly or unknowingly, and how that shapes who we are and how we view the world, how we view God. So the more emotionally healthy we are, obviously, the more I believe we can enjoy our relationship with God and give more freely and fully to other people, loving God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and loving our neighbor as ourself. And so today I just wanted to comment on a particular aspect of my own emotional health that I was journaling about today, and had to do with two different things that kind of brought it to attention for me. And so it has to do with my propensity to desire, I think, to an unhealthy degree, the approval of particularly my peers. I want people that I know to approve of me. And it's just something that has been a part of me as far as I've always understood. I mean, as a little kid in my home, I've always wanted to have the approval of my parents. I wanted to do the right thing and follow the rules. And, as a student in my classrooms, I always wanted to please the teacher. It was really important to me that people in authority thought I was a good kid. It really grieved me if their perception of me was something different than I wanted. I hoped. I wanted people to look at me and think, that's a good kid. And my friends, obviously, and as I grew into an adult, I mean, it continues. And I think that's generally okay. It's generally good. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of us are wired that way. But when it becomes unhealthy is when we suppress our own identity and our own emotions and who we are and our own feelings about things to create a false sense of peace with people, a false sense of approval. I want approval so much that I'll deny kind of who I am to make sure that I'm good with someone else, that they think well of me. So I'll avoid saying things that I think that they'll disagree with, that kind of thing. That becomes unhealthy, right? So we're not engaged in healthy interchanges. So that's kind of a little backstory. But there's two specific circumstances that happened yesterday and today that why it was a part of my devotions this morning, just to kind of call that spirit out of my heart again, call that propensity. It's like, okay, there it is, and I need to deal with that and to call that out and to confess it before God, because I want to be authentic. I want to present myself authentically to people. I don't want to deny aspects of who I am just because I perceive someone else to be disappointed in me. And when you're a pastor of a church, when you're in any leadership, not just a pastor, but any leadership capacity, you are going to disappoint people. You're going to make decisions that affect a group, and not everybody in that group is going to go along with it. They don't think that's the right way to go, but yet you have to make those decisions. That just comes with the territory. I'm not bemoaning my station. It's just the reality of it. And to someone who has a sense of, I want people to think well of me, those are hard decisions, but it's just reality. And God's really helped me to work through that. I don't want to mean that as, I said that in past tense, and the fact that I'm talking about today is, what I really want to put out there is that he is helping me in that. So yesterday, I'll just give two examples. I won't be too specific because you'll know, because they're people you would know. So someone talked to me yesterday, and they are, they have expressed struggle with me and maybe some of my decisions with regard to how we as a church are doing. I'm being real general, doing some things, and they were expressing to me some positive things, and one of those positive things yesterday included something that was untrue. It had to do with their assumption about some of my educational background. And it was a passing comment, but it cast me in a positive light, and but it just wasn't true about my education. And I let that go. I didn't correct them. And it was a passing comment. It wasn't like a main point or something. But I reflected on that. It's like, God, why did I let that go? Why didn't I say, hey, you know what, that's not, you're assuming that about me, but that's not true, even though it cast me in a good light. So why? Why would I allow an untrue statement to be made about me, except that it was attached to my desire for their approval? It's like, wow, that's something they approve of me. I'm going to let that fly because that's more important to me than, in this moment, than me correcting this untruth. So it was it really was a meaningless little thing, but it called up in me the reality of like, that there's some work to do in your heart, Mark, today, because you let that go, and for the sake of approval. And then this morning, there were some statements made in a written way that it was expressing some deep disappointment with a particular decision that we as a church had made, and then other people. There was more than one person who was stating their alignment with this viewpoint, and I found myself just my whole spirit, just grieved and like, oh, I like this person, it's important to me that they look at me and like, yeah, that's a person I want, I approve. I want to be like that person. I want to inspire people, right? Not just be a source of disappointment for them. But you know what? The reality is, as I evaluate this, here's how I walk through this kind of stuff as I journal, and how God has helped me, in my adult life to deal with being true to myself, not to necessarily go along to get along. To suppress different parts of me, my true identity, my true self, for the sake of getting along, for the sake of approval of people. I've had to work through that in just trusting God. It's like, okay, I'll just tackle the decisions, some decisions. Am I confident that the decisions I made were those that were guided by my own conscience and by the Word of God? Yeah. Totally. Did I include other people in those decisions, or was that decision just made by me? Not that that's the I don't know, the litmus test or whatever, but I'm just using that as an example of that. It's a principle of wisdom. The wisdom of many counselors. Were those decisions made along with other people who were also praying about things? Yeah, they were. We felt really good about that. So does another person? So yeah, that doesn't change. If someone is expressing disappointment, it doesn't change who you are. You are still the same person. You still have the same qualities. You are still. It's just that someone has a different viewpoint as to how things should have went down, and that is okay. And neither of these people, by the way, are unkind toward me. They're very loving and friendly, and not saying, bad things at all. So, I mean, the point I'm making is why I think this is such a good thing to call out in my own heart is it's okay to have a different opinion about something, even the important things. It's okay. Someone can have a different viewpoint than me. It doesn't diminish who I am. It doesn't diminish my value. I don't have to convince them that I'm right, or I don't have to justify to them that the decisions that I make are right. I have to walk according to my own conscience and to the truth that I think God is leading me in. And it's okay for someone else to have a different opinion, and even if they disapprove, which these two individuals had expressed some disapproval of me, that's okay. It is okay. That's the truth. Now, taking that truth and penetrating that into my heart, and to make sure that my own actions, I don't deny the truth about me by altering my choices, altering my actions to try to win the approval of someone else. That's where it becomes unhealthy. So I'm just saying this just to be, I guess it's a kind of a vulnerable part of my life. I'm not totally proud of it, but it's just the reality of when I wake up and I'm reflecting on my health, spiritual health, my relational health, my physical health, my emotional health. These are all the gauges that I'm kind of evaluating as a part of my morning routine and so on. And so when there's an emotional part of me that I feel like, okay, there it is again, I need to kind of acknowledge the reality of that. And it's so important for me to release that to God, to put it out there in the light so I understand it better, because a part of good leadership is to make hard decisions, and to make decisions that, you're not guaranteed the outcome of them is the right thing, but you're acting according to good, solid principles and so on. And in life, this is just true. Not everybody's going to agree with that, and so relationally, that's how we move forward with people. Another aspect of a negative would be, okay, so do I distance myself from people who disagree with me? Do I distance myself? And that would be another unhealthy behavior. Unless they were, because these examples are two very kind, godly people who just happen to disagree with me. It's like, do I distance myself? That would be another reaction. I think would be an unhealthy reaction. No, we can be in fellowship with one another. I mean, obviously it depends on the circumstance, but in this circumstance especially, it's like, yeah, these are my brothers and sisters in Christ, and we can still be friends and not agree. That's okay. That shows emotional health, emotional maturity. Is when we can disagree and still have a healthy, good relationship. So that's my thought today, is that emotional health should not be neglected as we think about our spiritual journey with God. Is addressing issues of our heart and calling out those things that are unhealthy, and aligning them to truth, aligning them to principles that are healthy, and because this command of God to love our neighbor is related to our emotional health. Our command of God to love God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, we have to address emotional things inside us to have this experientially healthy relationship with God as my loving Father. And so this morning I just thought I'd throw that out to you to evaluate however you want, however that is encouraging to you, that we are all on emotional journeys as well of health and maturity. And it's okay to admit these things. It's okay to talk about these things. And it's certainly important to address them and to grow, to make sure that we are emotionally mature so we can respond to one another in love, the same kind of love, quality of love that God has loved us. And so anyway, that's the thought for today. And I pray that you have a great weekend. And I want you just, if you could pray for our family today, Paul and Liz Ubrin. You remember Paul and Liz? They recently moved to Florida. We're having a memorial service today for one of their grandchildren who died as a result of a accidental self-inflicted gunshot wound. So this is such a tragic experience for the family, and everybody's responding very typically, very emotionally to a trauma like this, and it varies all over the place. And so the service today is going to be amidst a pretty wide gamut of emotions, and I just ask for prayer for the family as they are going through this journey, for Paul and Liz in particular, as their hearts are so deeply affected by this grief and trauma, that God would show himself present, a God of comfort for this family today as we have this really difficult service today. So if you remember them in prayer. So otherwise, I'll see you again on Sunday or Monday morning. God bless you.